Welcome to Mom Boss Chronicles, the show that celebrates the incredible journey of mom bosses who are conquering the world of business and motherhood. We are your hosts, Jen,
Danielle,
and Sue.
Make sure to like and subscribe and share with your mom friends today. Welcome back, everybody, to Mom Boss Chronicles. Today we have a really awesome guest, Dr. Piron. She is a pediatrician at MamaDocNJ with an office in Shrewsbury, New Jersey. Hi. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited.
For sure.
we're excited.
I'm so excited to hear just the perspective of a mom who is also a pediatrician and, any info that you can share with everybody. And just did you grow up deciding you wanted to be a pediatrician?
That's a good question.
I actually kind of did. I know it's very cliche.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But for as long as I can remember, I wanted to be a doctor.
Do you have doctors in your family?
We don't. I am the first to go in anything medical.
That's awesome.
I was definitely doing my own thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really like the idea of being able to support and help people in that way. And I just always really gravitated to kids.
That's awesome.
Even as a kid, I liked working with kids.
So when you entered medical school, that was the goal, right? For you, you're I want to be a pediatrician.
Yeah, I did. And I was very open to exploring the other fields because it's maybe I don't know a lot about medicine. So I really was open-minded going through the different rotations. But yeah, just something about pediatrics. I was like, those are my people.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
It definitely takes a certain person for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so special to work with.
And I feel like when you think about a pediatrician, you literally have the newborn, right, all the way to adolescent. There's so much change.
Yeah.
So much that goes on in that lifespan, and the fact that you doctors understand that and know it all is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's fun though. It's really great to get to watch them. I love it when I get to see somebody from so young and then watch them grow and kind of be there with the family and getting to know them. It's really special.
It's a special time of their life. Yeah.
How long have you been doing this for?
I have been a pediatrician for a decade now,
Wow.
outside of training. And then my practice I just opened a few months ago.
Cool.
That's amazing.
Congrats.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure you were a little nervous doing that, but, how did you overcome that, feeling maybe of trepidation?
Yeah, no, it's a very scary process for sure. And part of me, I just kept this mantra. It's you just have to do it afraid, right? I have the knowledge, I have the skills, I feel like I can be there to help kids. And I can, the business side, the marketing side, it's you can learn that. You've done other things.
Right.
You can learn it.
Do hard things.
And I can do hard things, put myself out there and go for it. Because I felt like if I didn't at least try, I would always regret it. I would always wonder.
Absolutely.
It's I'd rather go out there and, if it doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome that you listen to that calling in your heart, because a lot of people would not listen to that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's scary to do things on your own.
It's very scary.
I assume your spouse has been supportive and, a cheerleader for you.
I've been very lucky in that aspect. He definitely has supported this. He's been with me. He's my unofficial office manager in a way. He helped me design
That makes
my
sense.
website.
That's
and,
awesome.
Things like that.
What does he do?
He's an architect.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And so his kind of creative aesthetic mind is very helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not working.
You're the analytical side, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's I feel like those always who the people who get married, right? You got to balance each other out.
Yeah, it's a good balance. that
Yeah,
way.
and a good team.
So it's been very helpful to have him, support me. And of course, my friends have been very supportive as I've ventured out into this world.
And you have 2 kids, right?
I have 2 young kids.
Wow. How old?
Ages 2 and 5.
Oh, wow.
So,
You're in it.
A special time.
Yeah.
To launch a
You're in
business.
Yeah.
No better, right?
I know.
Just keep it going, right?
If not now, then when?
Yeah, I figured all stages are kind of challenging in their own way. So it's just do it.
Right.
And I'm hoping that it does show my kids too, that sense of just do it. If you feel that passion and that drive, go for it and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, totally.
And I feel like the world definitely needs good pediatricians. So I'm so happy you did that.
Yeah, I think there's a lack of.
Yeah.
So that's good. Might have to check you out.
Yes, truly. Yeah. I mean, I get asked all the time, if I have new friends who are having children, pediatrician. I mean, I have who Michael's been going to, but good to know, that there's a fellow mom and it seems like you probably have a smaller, more thoughtful practice maybe than, not to poo-poo on other folks, but that are being bought into with the hack and sack and the
Yes, it's a different. I guess I'm offering an alternate model to the traditional way of doing medicine.
That's refreshing.
And it's not, again, like it is not to say that the people who practice that way are wrong or bad in any way. There are wonderful doctors, you know, in those practices. I just wanted to be able to do medicine in a way that I really thought would most benefit my patients and myself in that relationship. And so I'm out of network with insurance companies for my services, which allows me to give really extended visits. My patients can text me,
That's
they can
awesome.
email me, they can call me, and they know, they always have that confidence, like, I'm the one that answers the medical questions. It's not getting outsourced because it's gotten so big and crazy.
Right.
It's more of a family feel.
Well, 100%. I think most people really gravitate towards that too. I mean, when I first started with the pediatrician my son was going to, it was like that, and then it changed.
Right.
You know, I think if he were a baby when that changed, like he's almost 6 now, so I don't like we're not going as often, and there's not as much going on. I probably wouldn't have liked that. I like that more family feel, right? Especially for first children.
Oh yeah, especially with the babies, because you know what? Those babies do not come with handbooks.
I know.
They do
And they can't tell you what's wrong.
They do their own thing.
Yes.
They make a lot of weird sounds.
Yeah.
They do a lot of weird things. And to try to tease out, is this normal or not normal, is daunting, you know, as the parent. Even if you have kids, like every baby is
I remember
different.
recording my son while he was sleeping, like the noises he
Yes.
would make, and be like, he's
this normal?
grunting.
Yeah, it's
and,
so
funny. Yeah, they're hilarious.
Like, do other babies do this?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And they do.
Yeah, the grunting is normal.
Yeah.
So, do your kids have a different pediatrician, or do you treat your kids? How does that
That's a good
work?
question.
Yeah.
So I am a little guilty of doing like a combo because there are certain things, of course, where I'm like, I recognize it and I know it.
Right.
And thankfully, my kids have been very healthy.
Yeah.
So, like the little things I have managed, but they haven't needed antibiotics and things like that. So, I'm not really prescribing for them.
Yeah.
But it is kind of nice to know, like, oh, if that GI bug comes around,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of know how to handle it.
That's, yeah.
Or if their ears hurt, you can look in their
can look,
ears
yeah,
and
yep.
or like
The sores,
their throat.
you can see, yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
that's good.
I've definitely done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would too.
Do you feel like you've changed as a doctor from before you were a mom to after being a mom?
That's a really good question. And I think I have. You know, I think there's just that perspective that comes along with being a parent because you learn so much, you know, in school and there's all these like algorithms and like best practices, but then there's like the practicality of life and, you know, balancing if you're working, not working, you have a partner that's doing something else. So it really just opens your eyes to that side of things. And I think I can really like relate to my families in that way. It's like, I know because I've been there.
Yeah.
I'm not just giving random advice.
Yeah.
Like I know what it means when I'm asking you to do certain things because sometimes it is hard
Right.
to follow like the best practice guidelines. But at least I can be like, I'm in it with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure out how to make it
Oh,
work.
there's no camaraderie like
Right. That
sleepless
mom-
nights and you know chapped nipples and you know.
Yeah.
I can attest to that. Like my daughter didn't sleep for like the first year of her life.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 My kids were the same.
Yeah.
It was like while I breastfed, they did not sleep.
And it's funny because, like, now thinking back when my son went to when he was little, like, the doctor's like, well, why is he not sleeping through the night? I'm like, I don't know, he's a baby.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep, exactly.
and it's so cool that you're like, no, I get him. I don't, like, I did everything, but sometimes they just don't.
That's who they
They're-
are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember feeling guilty. I'm like, I don't know, are they supposed to? Like, he's just not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, there's so much mom guilt out there
Yeah.
these days. And so I am trying to be a source of like support.
yeah.
Right.
And
That's
let you
great.
know, like, you're doing a good job.
Well, that's all we want to hear.
Right.
You're showing up, you're trying.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
So as you're growing your practice and obviously you're more accessible to, you know, your patients and everything like that, are you finding time though to shut down and, you know, do things for yourself and, you know, the quote unquote work-life balance that doesn't actually exist, but you know, yeah.
Yes, that work-life balance. I mean, that is part of the motivation for kind of doing my own thing was to try to take more control of my schedule.
Yeah.
And I do, it's not that I'm not busy like I was before. It's just different kind of busy. And it is nice though, because I can carve out time to do those special things and to be there in these little moments
Yep.
with my kids where it was much more challenging and often missed in my other practice settings.
Right.
Like my son has like a graduation from his preschool program coming up in a couple of weeks. And I was thinking about it, I was like, that would have been such a hassle
Yeah.
to get that time
coordinate,
off because it's like an awkward time of day in the middle of the week.
Right.
And it's no stress. I just blocked out my schedule,
Right.
right? And I know because it's that family feel, like even if a patient called and was like, but I was hoping to see you at that time, all I would have to say is my son's graduation.
Yeah.
Right.
And they'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to find a different time,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, totally.
So that part's been nice as far as the balance because it's not that you take away the busy,
Nope.
but I feel like
Right.
you can show up more.
Exactly.
Yeah. You could put it in other places.
Right.
Well, you're just like in control of your schedule, like you said.
I can
in your
respond
life.
to emails
Right.
at 10 p.m. on the
Exactly.
Kids
And
are in bed.
That's why we do what we do and sell real estate because, we hustle for sure. But the fact of the matter is when we need to show up to our children's stuff, we're there, And I think that that is why it's what I love best about our,
Yeah.
being in control of our
Yeah, not
lives like
feeling
that.
like I have to ask somebody else. Is it
Yes.
okay that
Right.
on this day I
Yeah,
leave at
chances are
12?
sometimes
Yeah.
There's, I think, there's chances that someone could be like not understanding and
Yeah.
decline that, which is crazy, but that happens,
Yeah.
It does.
Or if you've taken too many days off. Yeah,
Right.
all of it. Yeah.
Right.
You only have so much time.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah. You've taken too much time to spend with your family. Sorry, it's declined.
I know. Yeah. There's not a lot of, I think, family support out there
No.
in like the typical kind of
Yeah.
business world. And
For
hopefully
sure.
that changes in the future. Because we have this, as a society, we've changed. It no longer is the way of, one parent stays at home and one goes out. Like we have to start to figure out a better way.
Yeah, some sort of a hybrid or just be understanding and empathetic. That
We're all people.
Right. We're all people and ones with families, I think generally speaking, most people want to be there for their kids,
Yeah.
and but also have to put food on the table and pay bills and stuff like that. And I hope over time, and I feel like more people are demanding that, and obviously the Great Recession and all that is kind of shown. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the newer, the generations coming up are more aware of the importance of that family
sensitive
side
to
of
it.
things.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, they're coming in now with this mind of like, well, I'm just not going to accept less.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's forcing a change, which
Right.
is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disruptors.
Putting family first. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Since you've started your practice, have you noticed any, changes in what kids come in for or sicknesses or anything like that? I'm sure COVID was crazy, but that's like an aside.
No, I mean, in general, it's kind of funny. Like, kids are still kids.
Yeah.
And so there's still these seasons of, like back to school and like everybody's getting their colds again, the end of summer cold, strep throat,
And every season has something, right?
Yep. And then in this, like, we're entering the summer
Yeah.
season. So, of course, lots of injuries.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think, yep.
Sunburns, poison ivy, swimmer's ear, start to prescribe a lot of eardrops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bug bites, all of it. Yeah.
So you can kind of predict there's all
Yeah.
these
A
seasons.
cycle. Yeah, that's cool.
I was sort of wondering. So now, the big thing is hand, foot, and mouth. And I'm like, I don't remember that being a thing when we were kids. My mom's like, what is this? This
I know.
wasn't a thing. So is that
And your mom had
true?
4 kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this a new thing?
It's not a new thing.
Yeah.
So weird.
I did have a form of it when I was younger.
Really?
Where it was just in the mouth. I didn't have the skin rashes. But it's been around for a while. I think part of it is the shift to more people are utilizing daycare and early childhood professors.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
point.
it kind of gets highlighted because it's very contagious. And so it will spread through that daycare
Yes,
group. And
right.
then, so it's like everyone's talking about it.
Yes,
Because
yes,
all the kids got it.
Uh-huh. Oh, I got it.
Both of my kids got it. And it was brutal.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I felt Michael had it bad. And then I had it too. I had
Oh, you got a
I
reaction.
had bubbles all over my hands. It was so I had to wear gloves.
Wow.
So gross.
So warning parents, you can get it too.
Yes. Yeah. For real.
And is that a certain time of year that comes out mostly?
It is kind of low level present all year.
Okay.
But we see it'll flare sporadically
Yeah.
throughout as it
Right.
goes through certain centers.
And kids can get it more than once, right?
They can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping this summer Michael doesn't. He has seemed to get it every summer.
he has?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it different each time?
It's gotten less,
not.
less and less each
Usually
time.
it's
Yeah.
more mild.
Right.
If they
second,
do.
yeah.
Yeah, one time I didn't even really he didn't even have a fever or anything. We were on the way to daycare last summer, and he's like, "Mom, I have these weird red bumps on my hands," and I'm like, "Turn around! All right, here we go." That's what it is, right?
And I guess the stomach bug, is that around all year too? I hate that.
worst.
Right?
Yes, it can be, for
I
sure.
wish that it was like one of those things we built immunity. Like, we got it one time. We're
Right.
good
I
for 5
know.
years.
It was so bad this year. Like my son got it and he threw up for 15 hours.
No, poor baby.
Once an hour for 15 hours.
Yes, that's scary.
It is scary.
Yeah, I called our doctor. I'm like,
Yeah.
the hell?
Yeah, it's scary when they do that. I remember my daughter, just a few months old, like the stomach bug swept through our house.
Oh,
And so she got it, and poor thing, she one night just constant vomiting.
oh.
And so yeah, that was definitely a time. It was hard. It's like, okay, you got your mom hat on, your doctor
Yeah.
hat, like
And you're probably not feeling good too. Yeah.
I also had the stomach
Yeah.
bug,
It's literally the worst.
but thankfully, we got through that. night.
Yeah.
But it's definitely
Any
challenging.
tips to avoid it?
Hand washing, guys.
Yeah.
Soap and water. Some of these. Because there's a lot of different things that can actually cause the stomach bug, but some of them you actually need soap and water to kill effectively, not just the instant stuff.
Oh, like
Oh, like the
sanitizer.
antibacterial.
Yeah, not just the antibacterial.
That's good to
You
know.
actually
Like
want to do
true
soap
soap
and water. Get in
for
there
20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots. If you hear it's coming,
Yeah.
start doing your soap and water.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good to know for sure. So where do you see kind of, I guess, like the growth of your practice over time?
Yeah, over time, I hope to always kind of keep it on the smaller side
Yep.
as far as total number of kids in the practice.
It's awesome.
As of now, I really right now plan to keep just me. I'm not looking to bring on a ton of physician
Right.
partners. I do hope to grow enough to bring on an assistant
Yeah.
to help with some of the
Yeah.
administrative kind of load, and maybe more like an MA administrator combo. But I really hope as I grow too to stay involved with the community. I really like the education side that, being a doctor allows me to have. So, staying involved in community events or giving talks, working in those ways
Yeah.
would be really great too.
Or getting
sure.
to know the parents that you're seeing. That's awesome.
Well, have you done some other talks recently that?
I'm kind of talking with a few people to
Yeah.
try to get some things
Cool.
scheduled.
Yeah.
Because I would love to do stuff like that.
What are like the topics you think are important to talk on?
Oh man, that one's hard. 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so many.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of conversations that come up with parents, kind of more modern times, are things like screen time and safety related to some of the screen use too,
Yeah.
not just actual screen time, but so much is connected now, right? Your kid could be talking to strangers.
Yeah.
How do you talk about safety
Yeah.
with your kids from an electronic
That's a good one.
standpoint?
Yeah.
So we tend to talk a lot about that.
I like that as a doctor, that's something that you are aware of and you do want to talk about with your patients, not just
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's especially in kids, it's not just, obviously the physical side is important.
Yeah.
And so if you have a fever, we want to address that.
Yeah.
But for kids, so much is about this social and developmental, emotional
Yeah.
side, of things that we really, if we ignore, it's going to affect their whole life.
Yeah.
And so I want to set them up for success. And
love
if
that.
there's anything even brewing, we can address it early. Take the stigma out of things if they are different, because everybody is different and we all have our things. So trying to stay, aware of what's affecting kids in that way.
Yeah.
So the social media is big because there can be cyberbullying
Yes.
too. So how to monitor for
and
that.
you see obviously the preteens and teenagers, and I know that's
Right.
got to be a hard time in their life.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully they're comfortable enough to talk to you about things, their doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they are. I think they are.
Yeah.
I do try to talk to the kids too. We do the combo, talk with mom or dad, and also ask if they're comfortable talking to me alone.
Well, that's awesome.
And I try to start that in kind of the early teen years.
Because there's maybe something they want to tell you, but not in front of the
Right.
parent, right? Yeah.
And I know as a mom, it's oh, I don't know. I don't like that. What are they saying in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is really important because what I always say, it's I'm never going to keep anything from the parent. And I tell the kids this too. If it is life or death, you're going to know.
Right.
And I tell the kids that too. We're going to have to tell mom certain things, and I'll tell you first before we tell mom.
Right.
But otherwise, if it's something small, I encourage them to open up with their family, when they leave the office, but at least it gives them kind of that autonomy to do it when they're comfortable. And so I hope it does help them have like just an additional outlet, somebody else looking out who's on their team.
Yeah.
And hopefully the parents trust me enough, know me well enough that if it really is something you need to know about, like we're going to loop you in.
Yeah.
You'll address it.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. You're giving that. Like, it is a tough time in any teenager's life. You're changing. All these things are happening. And, like,
Emotional.
you maybe don't feel comfortable talking to your parents about it because you feel like, is this normal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Because it's not always because, like, oh, I don't trust mom or we don't have a good relationship.
Yep.
It's just it's that stage. It's normal. They're trying to
Or embarrassment to talk to their parent about it, but maybe more comfortable to talk to the doctor. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I don't want to talk to mom about that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sure my kids will say the same.
I know.
Yeah.
I know we're not cool.
Unfortunately. We'll try. We'll try hard, though.
I know.
Teenagers.
It's incredible. Well, I'm thrilled to hear that you are growing this practice, and we're excited to see how it continues to go. And where can people follow you?
So I am on Instagram at MamaDocNJ.
Is it MAM?
MamaDocNJ, like New Jersey.
That's awesome. I like that name. How did you
Me
come
too.
up with
Oh man, so picking a name is very hard. It's like naming your child. So I made like a list, and I kept like randomly shouting ideas at my husband, like, how does this sound?
Yeah.
What does this sound like?
What do you think of that?
And this one kind of settled at the top, and we kept going back to it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it.
I mean, it's perfect. You are a mama doc.
I'm like,
In
And
New
you're in
Jersey.
You are, in fact, a mama.
right.
That's
Exactly.
explains.
That's who I am. And I also wanted a name that wasn't too like silly, not professional.
I know what you mean.
But I also didn't want to, because I am different from like the traditional kind of corporate practices. So I didn't want to just be like, Jersey Shore kids.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
So I'm at MamaDocNJ pretty much anywhere. But that's my Instagram. There's a Facebook page in that name. And then
Do you post stuff related to pediatrics?
I do. I try to post content that hopefully is relatable to parents. I try to address different topics that, cover different age groups.
Yeah.
Some are more like actual medical, like disease related. Some are more that emotional, social side of things.
Right.
I also post updates about the practice and things like that.
There's a lot you
on
have to
my
look out for,
social.
huh? Like the social, the physical.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot
You're
of
like
the
the
doctor you're
one-stop
screening.
shop at the moment, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot, because we're primary care, so we really, we're like those gatekeepers.
Yeah.
We gotta try to manage it all, and when we need to phone a friend, we phone a friend.
Yeah.
Is the toddler phase, is that hard? Because obviously I feel like that's when you're noticing maybe your children might have different behaviors, and I think as a parent you kind of freak out about it.
Yeah, the develop. Yeah. Because a lot of those, that's when some of those more neurodivergent behaviors can start to come out. But it's also a time when tantrums are real.
I know.
They have big emotions and big feelings.
Yes.
And then there's just typical. You can just have speech delay and not other things. So it's a time where we do watch kind of development very closely, and I try to always address parent concerns if they're noticing something, even if it's like, yeah, that's normal.
Right.
Yeah.
At least we can talk through why it is and when it might not be.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, you sound amazing. So thank you so much for
Thank you.
letting us
for coming on
peek behind
today.
the scenes of what a
I know, I love
pediatrician.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
It's a special person for sure.
Definitely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Make sure you tap yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.